But I will jump in though, so
Oh,
because
okay.
something that I want to point
Okay.
out about him is that ultimately he was overtaken by the same thing that he thought he could tame, right? And fortunately,
Yeah.
unfortunately, if we talk about how so Steve Irwin will look at in perspective of governmental authority and all the things
Hmm.
in the wild we'll look at as our culture, right? Our people. Unfortunately, even though
Yeah.
Steve Irwin thought he studied his product and he went out there and he figured out a way to
Hmm.
monetize it, just like we've been studied, and there is a way that people who have a higher place in society have figured out a way to monetize us and our labor and our efforts. The one thing that we
Uh-huh.
haven't done was rise up and with a mighty sting, with a mighty blow, conquer the thing that has conquered us. We've yet to do that, right? Because we're still living under the bondage of fear because of the messages that are constantly put out and the way that we're being perceived and the way that we're conditioned from the time that we touch the face of the
Hmm.
earth, right? So in a movie, and everybody should know what I'm talking about right now, the quote of the movie is, man, even your conditioning has been conditioned, my brother. Right. And so because our
Hmm.
conditioning has been conditioned and it's something that's deep seated in fear based motivation and fear based living is something that we've had inside of us since we were taught to speak and we were taught mannerisms and we were taught performance in the public arena. Since that thing is so innate with us now, we don't know what to do and we've yet to come
Hmm.
together. So Ken was talking about how nations have found themselves in a situation where they're going to bind together in Africa and they're binding together with a force that we don't necessarily align with. But that force that they're binding up with is making them into a powerful strength that can actually move some things across the face of the earth. We've yet to do that so far.
Yeah. So what? So, and this is just a question I'm gonna put out here. I always talk about culture shock when I'm in like different groups. I'm like, I feel that we all could use a culture shock when it comes to different things, because that's the only. Well, that could be the first step in breaking the cycle of cultural conditioning, depending on, of course, what we're dealing with, right? So what is, was that Mr. Aaron talking
Yes, ma'am.
or Ken? No, that wasn't.
That was Aaron.
Well, anyway, what is the what all do you believe will help conquer, or what would be some tools that we could use that would help us when it comes to the fear and cultural conditioning?
A mindset.
That like
A mindset.
us, as Black people.
I'm with
Mhm.
you. A mindset like Chris Shankle. Seriously, in all seriousness, because sometimes I come in here and I listen to the topic that we have set before us, and I've got a lot of opinion and a lot of perspective, and I'll get ramped up and I'll start going all the way through it, and I've got my different psychological analysis that I'm doing just in seconds because of how my mind works and my the things that I've been going through in my life, lifelong. I get to pull those things together as a resource to give me a powerful message, and I get done with all that, and then I sit back, and then the deeper voice comes on the microphone and it says, "All right, let me tell you something." So honestly, it's a different mindset, right? Because my approach, I'm pretty hopped up, right? I'm all the way in there. My energy level is always maxed out, and then I get somebody to balance me out, and they say, those things honestly don't affect me the same way that they affect you. And so, man, Chris, you got to speak to something because, to hear a different perspective, it's a settling element for me because my mindset is go, 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 be a high performer, finish strong. And that's because I come from a place where I lost so much out of my life. And then I get to hear a different perspective and it says, it doesn't necessarily take all that. This is my approach and, things are just fine for me. So hearing different perspective and being open to receive that perspective, that's what really helps me to stay grounded. And I feel like if culturally more of us, and I say culturally, but I just mean generationally, more of us would be open to listening to different perspectives and hearing things that people have been through, or just hearing things from people that have been through different pathways, then it could settle us and calm us and have us to go through it with a mind that's a lot more clear, because mine will get cluttered with, action and, I want to accomplish this and this. But some other folks may say, hey, listen, the approach you have is great, but you're going to spend way more energy in the wrong places than you need to, because this is easier for me, and this is how I've done it.
I know.
See, told you.
Yeah.
Look at him.
No, I'm just listening. I'm going to give you what you asked for.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Look, I want to jump in there. I want to jump in there right quick before we get started.
Go ahead. What's up, Steve?
I was able to get a hold to Bradford and get him to come in. So he's on the line. Bradford, you there?
Yes, sir, man. Can y'all hear me? I'm in the car, so if it's a little loud, I apologize. I'm driving.
Hello.
Yeah. What's happening? How y'all doing? My homeboy hit me up and asked me to get on here. And if he needed to hop on, I'm going to be there. I'm here. We're
doing well, Mr. Brad. So, I mean, is it Brad or is it Bradford? Are we going all the way through with it, or talk to me now?
Bradford, man. Yeah, Bradford. That's my brand. Bradford Speaks. Yes, sir.
All right, come on with it.
All right, let me share y'all something with y'all. I was listening to y'all. We were talking about
fear, Brad. What we
Bradford
talked about last week.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We speaking on fear and
fear and cultural conditioning.
Right.
Yes.
Fear and cultural conditioning. So, all right.
What did I miss so far? What's the content?
Woo.
Mr. Bradford, you just gonna have to catch up, and better yet, you're gonna have to just catch in on this.
Catch in on it, Mr. Bradford.
Just take a moment and listen, and you everything's gonna come to you, brother. Okay.
All
right. First of all, I was listening to what everybody was talking about in the snatch and grabs and things of that nature, and all right, as Aaron said, I always have a different view or a different perspective of things because of how I lived or how maybe I am. Period. Okay. So we were talking about culture shock. Everyone needs a culture shock. How many of us has did a volunteer culture shock that we made a conscious decision to purposely put ourselves in a cultural or a cultural environment that we were unfamiliar with?
I definitely have.
You have?
Definitely have.
Okay.
I have.
And you have? So everyone has voluntarily did that, right?
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I made you do it. Okay, let me share something with y'all. Me and Kenneth was going to Lake Highlands High School, okay? Predominantly a Caucasian-based high school at the time, and it still is, okay? So we knew how they live. We've been living that way all our lives. But as soon as we got older, I wanted to know what it felt like to go to Oak Cliff, South Dallas. I lived in a 2-story home, but I wanted to be around people in the projects. So I voluntarily got me and Ken. We drove out there, and we even started dating the girls in those areas because we wanted to be. And next thing you know, I'm out with them. I'm driving up. I'm from North Dallas, but I was accepted even in that area because I had a different perspective on everything, and it was unique to them. And the more things I learned about them, the more appreciated I was to be where I was. And that's crazy, but it was the truth. It was like I didn't appreciate it until I realized, man, I'm not doing bad where I am. I think I prefer to be where I am than where they are. But I had to personally experience it, and I did it voluntarily. To literally go out there, my father was having a fit. I did everything in the world, move you away from stuff like that. You're going to purposely go out there and be this and this and this and get in trouble and this and that. But it was because I wanted to know. I wanted to know why we as black people always put colorful things on stuff. We ride around with cars and they pink and blue and jacked up, or we so grand. And then one guy, a historian, came to me and said the reason why is because we are kings. And I said, what do you mean? He said Africa was a grand place. It was a beautiful, colorful place. And the more colors you had in your dress attire, it means more wealth. Way back in historian days. I said, okay, all right, cool. I can understand that. But he says it's instilled to you to be fascinated with colorful things. And I'm like, if you start thinking about it, whenever we think of something, we want to keep it as kind of a mellow tone. The way that we dress, we don't want to be too extravagant. If we black people trying to fit into the white man society is what we call it. We don't want to come in there with, our clothes matching our cars.
Right.
We don't want to do that, for whatever reason. Now, we might actually like it, but we know better, as we think we know better, right? So here's the crazy part about it. Eric was just telling us a story about a Hispanic guy seeing so much violence on TV from black guys that he feared black people. Okay. Well, let's speed it up today. I don't have an Instagram, but I got friends that do, and we going through their Instagram accounts, and there's several accounts where they're showing murder, and they like, these guys are pulling up, and they call it a blinky, which is supposed to be a automatic weapon, and they get out with the blinky, and they're killing each other in broad daylight, and we're video recording it. I think the power is in us. If we want to change the image, let's start video recording us working. Let's start video recording us having a family gathering with our kids, us black men, videotape us playing with our children in the front yard. And let's just let that go viral. Let's make it viral, that every video that we see uplifting a black person, period, everybody click on it, like it, subscribe to it, period. Let's change it. People keep killing me with this. Well, the white, no, man, it's not the white man, it's us. Because why? I get on the elevator with white women all the time, and I'm not a small brother. I think I'm intimidating whenever I'm looking around someone. They look at me and like, man, that dude's got big hands, he's a big guy, this and that. But the smallest of the richest Caucasian woman in the world look at me and say, hey, baby, how you doing? And next thing you know, we're in the middle of having a conversation. So if I'm so threatening, how is that possible? It's me. It's my demeanor. It's whatever energy that I'm letting off. It's letting, no matter who they are, is letting them know that they have a comfort zone with me. And so they share that. Next thing you know, I know where this lady lives. And she don't know me from Adam. She's like, I have a house right over there. Been living over there for 25 years. And my son. And next thing you know, we're having a conversation. But remember, I'm supposed to be a big black guy. And hey, think about it. I'm an ex-con. So you have all this information you're sharing with me to a person, but it just don't even matter, because whatever I'm giving off is making them feel like they can share that with me. And they do. So when y'all are saying certain things and I'm just real quiet, it's because I'm in the process mode trying to understand both sides of the spectrum. I'm trying to understand where some people are coming from, and I'm trying to understand where I'm coming from and how we can come in the median and join it together and say, okay, well, this is what my output is.
Right. So
Chris, that's why that what you said, excuse me, Aaron.
No, go ahead.
That's why what you were saying is important. In order to get that started, we have to have some sort of ownership.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about is algorithms. Yeah. Algorithms determine what we see. So that was everyone's problem with TikTok, because it was saying, well, TikTok is showing Americans this, but it's showing Chinese people STEM. Because in China, all they wanted their kids to know and be programmed with was STEM. In America right now, the algorithm is, if you can go on YouTube and see shootouts with African Americans all day long. Exactly. Because people click on it. And then when they click on it, they say, this is what you want to see, and we'll help facilitate that thought process that everyone has about you. And then you can get, like you said, you can get on the elevator, and the way that you calm the white lady that's on the elevator is when you get on the elevator and you start talking, you don't sound like, you don't enunciate like, your pronunciation is not like
what
the image that they saw. Your pronunciation is like where we grew up, which was Lake Hollins.
That's real.
So when you sound like them, then it takes away the thought process of you being like something else. And so they go, oh, wait a minute. He's more like me. Then that's when they try to get you and recruit you to their side. Hey, come over here, because it's dangerous over there.
Right.
So come over here. And that's that fear thing. So when Tyler Perry buys a studio and everyone goes, why is Spike Lee mad at Tyler Perry? He goes, because Spike Lee understood the imagery. the imagery that is shown. If we don't present ourselves, Bill Cosby understood the imagery. If we don't present ourselves like this, then for us, it's a bad thing because we believe we're supposed to be like what we see. So with 50 Cent, I got no problem with 50 Cent's and Power and all the rest of that. But if you look in every TV show is about us being a drug dealer and us having shootouts and our kids go, well, then that's the way this skin color is supposed to behave. And it takes, because they're not going to do it. Nobody, I say it all the time. Why are you asking somebody who's winning the game to change the rules?
Right.
Exactly.
They're not going to change the rules to the game that they winning. They winning the game. So that means we have to come in and create a game within the game, a virus. We have to create a virus within the game that messes up their coding for the game that allows us to win. And that's ownership. That's us. We don't have a social media company.
No, we don't.
Trump, as soon as Trump got kicked off of Twitter, what'd he do? I'm gonna start my own social media company.
Right.
And I'm gonna have people come to my platform. That way I can control the algorithms. So before we even get a studio, we need something like that so we can control the algorithm so that we can see us in a different light so that we aren't afraid of us. It doesn't matter what anyone else is we are afraid of us. That's why this thing with Africa is so powerful, because if Americans here, African-American people here, see Africans there going, wait a minute, we giving y'all all our money.
Right.
We're giving you all our resources. We're giving you all of our minerals. We're giving you everything. We decided we're going to take it back. So if we see that, then how long does it take for 8 of us to sit down and go, wait a minute, we spending all of our money. Why don't we keep all of our money and we go do a ChatGPT? We go do a large language model that's programmed, whether people know it or not, large language models aren't programmed to help us. Because they don't understand us. The programmers don't understand what it's like to be us. So when you ask it a question about us, go on a large language model like ChatGPT and ask it to speak urban and see what it's going to sound like. Horrible.
So here's another deal with that, Ken. That's the reason why I commend you and Aaron and Scoot for even coming together and having me on this podcast. Because believe it or not, this is our give back. This is our change. This is us working it from the inside out. We're talking about a podcast, y'all. We can hear this thing no matter where we are in the world.
Right.
Okay? So we're not impacting a small area. Yes, we may not have a lot of followers at the moment, but sometimes it takes 4 or 5 years, and believe it or not, once the following grows, they'll go back and listen to these different conversations that we're having. And if you'll notice something about them, we have a friendly battle or a friendly argument. Me and Scoot, we're going to always see differences in everything. We're going to battle it to the fullest. But at any given second, and I'm not talking minute, even given second, I die for Scoot and Scoot will die for me.
Come on, man.
So we're not talking about something you got to think about. It's, say, man, I'm finna go take care of my family. It's over. We ain't finished in sentence. I'm finna go take care of my family. Done. You understand what I'm saying? So we will sacrifice to lift up each other without a doubt in our mind. So once you start being around people like that, which we are, that's the crazy part about it. It's not, we don't need to begin it. We are those people. We will sacrifice for each other in a second. So people start looking at us, where we're coming from, how we share things, what we do. It's going to be a virus. It can't help but to be. If you take a moment out just to listen to us, there's something about what we say is going to resonate in your mind long after we gone.
Right.
And that's like when Aaron was gone. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, this is crazy. But when he was gone, it was an empty spot in here. No matter what guests we had, no matter who came, no matter what, there was still an empty spot that was here. And I felt it, because just like Aaron feeds off my energy, I feed off his. Aaron is go, go, go. And that 1 hour that he takes whenever he wakes up in the morning, he don't do anything but organize his day in his mind mentally. Whenever he gets up and he hits the floor, everybody knows he's coming because he has made it up in his mind. When I touch this ground, by the time I lay back in this bed, something has moved in a positive direction for not only me, but everyone around me.
That's right, man. I appreciate you saying that, man.
That's the energy he gives off. So I look forward to him. I wake up in the morning now, believe it or not, y'all, I'm totally the opposite. As soon as I wake up, I jump up and I figure out my day mentally as I'm going. As I'm brushing my teeth, I'm putting things in perspective, putting it in order, and then I execute it. Aaron takes the time out, but when that time that he takes out, his moves are calculated and they're powerful. So we all have a different way of doing what we doing, but it's respected by all you people.
Right. So and Bradford, you can jump in anytime, man. Anytime you want to go ahead and just get in there, just go and jump in. For me, so I was talking to a coworker of mine. I'm training a young guy right now. Been around him for about 7 years. Really sharp thinker. Young man. He's in the finance world with us. By the grace of God, he just got blessed into that seat, and so now he's running and gunning like we've been doing for years already. But I got to teach him all the ins and outs, the do's and the don'ts, and because we have a relationship that's stronger than just employment. I was talking to him about the time that I spent down in Houston because my grandmother just passed, and I was telling him about the situation that we live in with our culture, right? My grandparents had been on a cul-de-sac for 40 years. And in that cul-de-sac, most of the people had been there for at least 20. And so I was telling them how I can go to that street and literally, out of respect, I wouldn't do it, but I could literally park my car in the middle of the street and start with the very first house and walk all the way down the street. And we just gonna drink sodas. We gonna drink beer. I can eat out of anybody's pot. We cooking in the front yard. We playing dominoes outside. And anybody and everybody knows that they're welcome across the street, in the next yard. I said, because culturally, that's how we love each other. But these are the types of images, like you were talking about, that are not being put out there when it comes to us, the community, the strength, the communion that we have with each other. And rather than that being put out there, it's the things that people do when they're in desperate situations. We had one rule. Everybody knows that I was incarcerated for 11 years, right? 11 years of continuous incarceration. I didn't get out and go back. So we call that doing flat, right? So I did 11 years flat, came home. And when I came home, I knew that I was going to do things different. But the number one rule that we had while I was gone is no matter what goes on in this situation, don't panic. Because if you panic, right? If you have fear inside of you and you let that fear motivate you to perform a specific task, whatever that may be, most likely you're going to lose because you're not thinking in a rational way, right? So when rational thought has an opportunity to work its way through the circumstance, you are typically going to win. And that's the reason that these images of fear are being put out into society to take root inside of everyone who sees them, is because when people who receive these images run across people who look like the ones that were in the image that they received, they don't want you to have a rational thought. They want you to think irrationally so that you do things that you wouldn't normally do. Right? You treat the people who are associated with the image of fear in a way that perpetuates the very thing that they want you to believe about the people that you saw. And so what does the end of that look like? It looks like everything that we just talked about. It looks like putting out images that give a more positive outlook on the society that we know that we really believe in. Like if I'm down, let's talk about it, man. If I'm down, there are people that I can reach out to right now that can help me out of my down circumstance. If people around me are down, they already know. It's not even a question. Call the man, talk to him, and whether they ask for it or not, it doesn't even take an asking a lot of times, that we're going to do what we can to work our way through the situation, whether it's monetarily, whether it's just the right word in due season, whatever it may be, we're going to work ourselves through it. And so the fear that people are living with and living through, two different sets of people, it's really just a false narrative crafted for the downfall of a specific people. And if we continue to allow that to be something that's put out there in the society and we don't combat that with more positive issues, with more positive presentation, then it's going to continue. And we are the ones that have ownership of that circumstance. We get to stop it. We get to name it. We get to call it everything that it should be and then recreate the narrative so that we can be more positive on a global scale. That's where we are as a people. So the charge is in us. The responsibility falls on us. Fear is exactly what you called it. False evidence appearing real, right? Might sound so cliche, but if you chew on that,
but it's true.
Right. If you chew on that, if you marinate that inside of your mind and inside of your spirit and inside of your soul, you're going to know for sure that that's something that is actually real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to tap in. This is Bradford. I just want to say real quick. It's interesting that you have to talk having this conversation because essentially what you're saying is, and whether you recognize it or not, I was just listening to a interview by Dr. Robert Malone. He's a gentleman that developed the mRNA technology that was used in the recent vaccines during COVID.
Yes, sir.
And so he was giving a talk about fifth generation warfare. And essentially what we're experiencing in our world, and not just in our community, but I think across the globe, is that he was talking about how these tactics, this is a war tactic. The COVID pandemic or plandemic was a war tactic. It was a biological warfare that was launched on the common people. And so he breaks this down because most of the stuff that we see in the world is developed for military purposes first. We all know, and then eventually will come up. But these things are not supposed to be practiced on the innocent, non-suspecting population. And it was. So fifth generation warfare is spearheaded and led by fear. Fear is a way, to the gentleman that was speaking earlier, I don't know who it was, it's a way to throw you off your square.
Right.
It throws people off their square so they cannot now think logically. If you think about it from a war perspective, if you're in war and battle, if you can get your opponent or your enemy to get off their square and start not thinking logically, they're going to make a mistake at some point, and now you got them.
Right.
Right. So that's what we find ourselves in. And I mean, when you talk about the media, if you look at this on a grand scale, yeah, we've got podcasts, we've got small ways of making an impact. But when you look at it on a mass scale, the corporate media and the large, social media platforms, your Twitters and your Facebooks and Instagrams, they don't care about these small little platforms that make a small difference because they're a dribble, they're a pebble in the ocean, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying that we should stop doing these because we are making a difference. We should continue to do what we're doing, but they're okay with us having these little dribblings, these little scraps falling off the table because they've got the masses, they've got the millions and billions of followers.
Right.
So your splash isn't heard. It isn't really felt the way that you want it to be. You can't make the kind of impact that you really want to make, right? So that's why. So when you look at companies and what's been happening over our lifetime, I think we're all about the same age. What's been happening is there's been a consolidation that's been continuously happening. You can see it. If you know companies like BlackRock, right? If you know companies like JP Morgan Chase, these banks. If you look at the credit unions are by and large gone. And when our parents were young, everybody banked at the local bank and the credit unions. But this consolidation factor has been taking place over the years. All the banks are now being put into the top 4 or 5 banks: Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Citibank, et cetera. And when you look at a lot of the investments and things that happen on Wall Street, BlackRock has taken over like 90% of Wall Street. It's ridiculous. So at some point, if we don't do something in a massive move of the massive top, these bastards, excuse my language, they're going to own everything. So you're not going to really have. They can tell you what to say, what you can post, what you can publish, what you can't post. You've already seen the elements of the violation of our right to speak. We've been completely what's the word? Taking away your right to speak. Censored. Censorship is very, very. It's very, very present in our lives today. Nowhere like it was when our parents were younger. We're being censored at every motion. Twitter can say, they did it during the pandemic. Now on Facebook, you can't post this. It's fake news. It don't matter if it's fake news. That's your point of view.
Right.
People should be able to say what they want to say. So it's a huge picture. It's really, really big picture. And again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep doing what we're doing because that's how you make the impact. And I mentioned this last week when I was on the show with you guys. I mentioned this last week that one thing that disappoints me the most is that a lot of the people in our community in the rap industry and entertainment, have not taken what I see as being responsible. Not everybody's going to be rich and wealthy. And some people who got rich and wealthy got that way by making certain moves and by being controllable in a way that the people who actually made them rich can control the narrative, right?
Right.
So you may see somebody on the big screen, Hollywood, superstars, celebrities, or whatever, but these people a lot of times are controlling the narrative. If you look in the black community, people like a Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? He's put there for a reason. He's not smart, not a brilliant guy, but they keep him in a spot for a reason because they control our culture in a big way. Beyonce controls so many black women. I mean, people will go all over the world to fly to see this woman do a damn concert. It's crazy. but you won't walk down to the store and help an old lady take her groceries across the street. But you spent $800 on a Beyonce ticket. It's nuts. But that's the place that we're at right now. Until we acknowledge that and recognize that fear does drive a lot of what we do, we're not going to be able to make the impact and the difference that we want to make. So great topic y'all are talking about. I just wanted to just drop that nugget in. If we start looking at this a little bit more macro and really looking to see how could we do that? Like, if you want to get money, typically you're either going to some wealthy millionaire to borrow the money, you're going to a bank. What banks are you going to? It's going to be the same 5 I just talked about. And when they decide, we're not going to loan you money anymore, how are you going to start a business? How are you going to launch a podcast? How are you going to promote it? How are you going to market it? That's where we're heading. That's the big picture. So I'm going to get off my soapbox and y'all continue to talk. Thank you so much for having me today.
No problem. Mr. Bradford, I got something.
Hey, Brad, tell me where you can be reached at, Brad.
Say it again?
Tell him where you can be reached at, Mr. Bradford.
Yeah, and my website's BeLegendary.coach. BeLegendary.coach. I've got a free webinar that you can watch. I do relationship coaching, performance coaching with executives, senior leaders, people who want to make a difference, people that want to do what we're doing in this podcast. And you're being stopped by fear. Something is in the way of you following your passion and doing what you want to do. Let's talk about that. Fear is natural. Fear is normal. Everybody experiences fear. And we talked about this last week. I think I mentioned the definition of courage is knowing that the fear is there and still taking the action that surrounds and supports what you're really committed to. And if you're committed to make a difference, acknowledge the fear. Hey, I'm afraid right now, but that's okay. I'm taking the next damn step anyway, and I'm going to execute what I'm committed to in this world.
So you asked what we were talking about before you got on the mic. That exact same thing that you just said was spoken right before you came on the line.
Exactly.
That exact thing.
That is.
Yes, sir. One more time. You said we can find you at Where can we find you at?
Say it again.
Where can we find you at? One more time.
My website's my website's BeLegendary.coach. You find me there, BeLegendary.coach. Of course, you can find me on Instagram, BeLegendary.coach as well, and on Facebook. Look up BeLegendary.coach. Bradford Speaks. You'll find me on every platform. And I also have a podcast for myself, and I need to have you guys come on to my podcast, the Everything Matters podcast. You guys are welcome to come on. I'd love to talk about this topic with y'all more and really unpack this more and continue to make the kind of difference that we're all committed to making, obviously, in the world. So thank you all again for having me.
There it is, man. We appreciate having you on.
And I'm going to have to get Brad up for performance coaching. I need all of the coaching and mentoring that I can get to be better.
No problem. Now,
I got you, boo. Hit me up.
Now I got something different to say real
Yes,
quick.
1 second.
What's on your mind, Ken?
Okay.
Hold on. Ken's finna speak, y'all. Just a second.
We always talking about a solution, right?
Right.
Come on with it, Ken.
Even in any solution, repetition is.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sorry, my microphone was off because I'm trying not to get the background noise in.
Right on.
But we were talking about solutions.
Okay.
And in any solution, repetition is the master of confidence. When you practice something over and over and over. So when Chris said, hey, has anyone put themselves in a fearful situation to get over it? So like, Chris, I was witness with you. I was with you many a times to get through those situations. But I read a book. I forgot the name of the book, but it was talking about going into Starbucks, standing in a line, and when it's your turn to order, not saying a word. You have all these people behind you ready to order, right? Starbucks is a fast moving pace. Everyone's ready to go, and just not saying anything to get past your fear of what people say about you. And so it gave you all these different things you can do to get over your fear of people, get over your fear of a lot of different things, but repetition. So when I was listening to Bradford and everyone actually speaking, it is, we can try all of this, but this is an ongoing everyday process. You have to put yourself in a position to get over fear, because fear is necessary. It is beneficial, but you have to master the fear. The alligator or whatever he was, the crocodile, he mastered the fear of the alligator. He knew, okay, in this instance, I should do this instead of this. When you're practicing karate, it is, in this instance, when you swing, I should move here instead of moving here. Everything has this. Right now, the easiest way to die is going outside, get in our car, right?
Yeah, right.
But we mastered the fear of driving. So it's I should always do this instead of this. That way I don't have to be afraid of what might happen. So you're going to always have fear, but when you master how to do the thing that you're trying to do repetitiously, Kobe Bryant said, I did not play a lot of pickup basketball. I practiced shooting the basketball because even when I missed, I knew I was going to hit the next one. So I never had to be afraid of missing a shot because I knew a shot that I was going to hit was right behind the shot that I would miss. So when we're talking to us and trying to get over fear, it is not one thing that we can just do and all of a sudden fear is gone. It is, if I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of heights.
Are you really?
I hate flying. So this trip coming back from, I took that trip to Disneyland, Disney World.
Right on.
I hate flying.
Okay.
Hey, I want to jump in right quick. Because I'm calling something remote earlier. This is Aaron Charles. I want to give y'all guys a traffic update. I'm here on I-20. It is sunny, and the traffic is flowing eastbound. We're having a great time out here listening to you guys on Rebuilding Futures podcast. We're enjoying it. We're loving it. And we want to keep this on going. About an hour and 30 minutes out from Dallas, Texas, running at about 80 miles an hour. And I'm turning all of my fear. I'm passing 18-wheelers. I'm passing cars. I'm passing women and children and babies and strollers. Come on.
Well, right on. Okay.
All right, now we appreciate you for the
Absolutely.
check-in and the
Absolutely.
traffic update on I-20. We love you for it, man. Come on, man. We know it's a beautiful Sunday out here. Y'all didn't know we was going to update and start giving out traffic reports.
Here you go,
on you
y'all.
boys. Come on now.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So let me say my piece, and then I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna sit back and get this whole floor to y'all. As I was listening to Mr. Bradford and he was speaking, I looked over at Aaron and I kind of shook my head no. And what I'm not saying I don't agree, but I'm just gonna tell you I have a different perspective. This is what I'm looking at. How many presidents do we have in a 4-year term? One, right? So how many governors? How many mayors? It's only one per city, per state, a whole nine, right? So this is what I'm saying. The person that is listening to this podcast might be that one to change everything. So it'd be great to reach out to the masses. But to be honest with y'all, it's the one person that is gifted that everyone will follow. It's the only one I'm trying to reach.
Right.
I just want to build him as a giant. I want to build that Obama.
Yeah.
I want to build that Malcolm X. I want to build that whoever is going to be put in a position to change things. That's it. I don't care if I reach 3 million. It could be 3 million idle minds that I reach. I don't want to touch them.
Right.
I want to reach that one motivated mind to change. That's it. So I may look at this podcast and say, we have 5 subscribers. But one of those 5 subscribers could be Elon Musk. That'll change everything. That's the only one I'm trying to. That's the only one I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to reach someone that's actually going to do something with the knowledge that they receive.
That's right.
Not just sit idle. Oh man, they have a great podcast. Oh man, they say some, they're very knowledgeable about what they say. No, I don't know who that is. That has to be Elric Truvillion.
Scoop, go on, mute that.
Mute that. Thank you, brother.
Hello?
So like I'm saying, that's the only, I get it, y'all. I do. But I'm not big on social media. Okay. I mean, everyone knows that. I'm big on one-on-one relations.
Right.
There's people I've been knowing for 40 plus years. They don't reach me on Facebook. They pick up the phone, they call me. When they have a party, a gathering, they pick up the phone, they call me. To me, it's great because I know that they had to go out of their way to include me in whatever situation that they're trying to put me in. And I'm good with that. You know, I'd rather you pick up the phone and share something with me on a one-on-one than just to hit me up on a website and don't even know if I received the message. I'm that type of guy. So listen, it's just like, Ahna, when you were telling your story, and you have quite a few, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Ahna. Your energy that you give into this podcast is great. I love it. It's a different perspective.
Thank
we
you.
all have different perspectives, but you have a softer perspective of way you deliver your messages than we do, and that's needed because it's like raising a kid in a one parent household. What you say is it. There's nothing to challenge your perspective of anything. But when you have two, or maybe even three, which is mama, dad, and a grandmama in the house, you have the ability to then say, well, daddy said this, mama said this, granny said, now you have a choice. Instead of a dictatorship where you only have the one parent, whatever that parent says, go. When that parent says no, it's no. If that parent say be in at 3:00, you're going to be in 3:00. You don't have a choice. You don't even have an idea or a different perspective to look at. You only see what that one person is delivering. So with you and you're as a guest, we love it. Okay. Because you come in with something softer and we all can relate because why? We all mama boys around here, whether you know it or not.
Without a doubt.
I take care of my mother right now.
Without a doubt.
When I woke up this morning, she said, baby, I'm out of mess. And I went and got the pill bottle, opened it up and started doing it for the week. She said, I'm hungry. I fixed breakfast. That's what it is.
That's awesome.
Okay. So at the end of the day,
I appreciate it.
That's you always going to have that comfort zone with us because we know how to relate to you. We're going to treat you as a mama. This is it. You know, let me hear what she has to say. And you're always going to be respected when you're dealing with us in every shape, form, or fashion.
I appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem. It comes with the territory when you're dealing with us. So just FYI, y'all, I'm just trying to build one giant that's going to make a difference. That's it. I would love to build a million. Okay. That's impossible. But I want to build one giant to make a difference because that one person may impact the entire world. We know only one Martin Luther King. We only know one, you know, and he impacted the entire world. We only know one Muhammad Ali who fought in Africa, Rumble of the Jungle. He was running down the street. They was screaming his name. It's only one. We don't need the masses. We just need the one person that can make the difference. And like I said, out of 5 subscribers, it might be that one. That's the one I'm going to focus on and say, man, help us change this. All right, that's it. Y'all do y'all.
Let me piggyback on what you just said, if I can. I was looking at another young lady's, she had a YouTube, and she said something similar. She said that she didn't have a lot of viewers, right, or followers or whatever on her videos. And what she found is that quality over quantity is what's important. You don't want the quantity all the time. You want that one quality person. And one time she was saying that there were 3 viewers and one of them was Oprah Winfrey. So you just never know who's watching, you know, and, another thing is, oh God, I lost my thought.
Oh, you got it. Go ahead.
Yeah. You never know who's watching, basically, is what I wanted to say. And, you know, reaching that one person, like I'm not really big on social media. I'm more one-on-one as well. People will reach out to me all the time and message me, hey, can we talk? Or can we, you know, and I need this. And do you know of this? And who can help me with this? So I am more relational when it comes to like hands-on, one-on-one, picking up the phone, because I don't always have my phone in my hand. So it's better to call or, you know, I get it. I totally get it. And if we can just reach that one person, I used to tell people in my church environment at the time when I was mentoring, we are disciples that build disciples to disciple.
Yes, ma'am.
You get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So that's it in a nutshell. It's basically reaching, you disciple that one person, and you don't know who they're gonna, take under their wing and mentor and reach. And then that person it's just like a flame. It's gonna continue to catch on fire, and it's gonna continue the fire is gonna continue to spread. And that's how you reach the masses. It's not reaching them all at one time, because like you said, you can have 3 million viewers, 3,000 followers, 3,000 viewers on one video, but not all of them are really getting the message. So it's that one person. And once you cultivate that one person, then they can go ahead, because in order to be a good leader, you have to first be able to follow. You have to be a good follower. So once you cultivate that one, they get the tools that they need, and then they can pay it forward. And it just continues to grow like that. So yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah, I want to offer an additional. Somebody else want to talk? Hey, I want to chime in right quick. Give you guys another traffic update. I want to chime in right quick and give you guys another traffic update. The traffic going westbound on I-20 is going great. The weather out here is great. We're loving it. We're enjoying it. We would love to know the young lady. We would like to know where she can be reached and her title. And we also like to know the numbers to call in to speak with you guys. My name is Elric Truvillion. I am calling in from a remote area on I-20 heading westbound with my kickstand up. Come on.
y'all got a little scoop. Yeah, we want your information. Go ahead and give us a rundown how we can get a hold of you.
Okay, so he want my title. So, okay, my name is Ahna, and my title is I am a therapist. I am a licensed professional mental health counselor. And I can be reached on social media and Instagram at Grace Mercy Favor. They can message me if they need any help, any therapy, any resources, or anything, and we can go from there.
All right, so you said Grace Mercy. What's the last part? Favor. Okay. All right. Appreciate you. Grace, Mercy, Favor. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's how we just look you up. Grace, Mercy, Favor. We're going to find you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And they can message me and we can go from there.
All righty. Perfect. Yeah. So folks that are listening, don't be afraid to reach out and use that as a resource. There's always going to be an abundance of resources available. You can always get with the podcast as well. Ken always gives a shout out at the end if somebody missed anything. And so we want to have the opportunity to make sure that you guys can reach out and get the things that you need. And so we'll do a quick wrap up. First of all, we want to thank everyone for calling in and sharing their time and lending their talents as well with the podcast today. So just to bring it back home for you and put a bow on it, everyone knows that the premise of the podcast is to rebuild futures. And what does it mean to rebuild futures? First of all, if you're going to anything, that means that you have to hit a reset button. That means you have to hit the do it over button. You have to be settled in your mindset and settled in your circumstance in some type of way. The first step to doing that is finding a spiritual equilibrium inside of yourself. We understand that the soul is the mind, will, and emotions of any person, any creature that crawls the face of this earth. And when you settle those things, you'll find that there is an equilibrium available to you to tap into, so that you can make a challenge to yourself to make the change that you desire. The hardest thing in this world to do is change someone else because of how hard it is for you to change yourself. So let's focus on us first, internal, not external things. And if we focus on those things, we'll have the greatest challenge of mankind before us to change ourselves. We war against two things, both our nurture and also our nature. But if you make it your business to war against those things and challenge yourself daily, facing the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, that change is possible. So I encourage everyone who is willing to live in the land of possible today, that anyone who listens to or subscribes to the Rebuilding Futures podcast, challenge yourself to make a change. We don't have to live a fear-based lifestyle or have a fear-based mentality, and we should also do everything we can with our best efforts to help people who live in that lifestyle to overcome it. And how do we do that? We do that by simply being the best version of ourselves possible, the most authentic version of ourselves possible. And all the time that we do that, we overcome fear with love. We thank you for listening. We thank you for tuning in. We also ask that you like, share, and subscribe everything that we've done today because we appreciate your listenership. Thank you, and God bless. It's been another wonderful Sunday.